living comfortably in the year 2023. The world's in chaos, of course, wars, political problems, etc., etc. But here we are. And one thing which is ubiquitous is reports of how America is more divided than ever, America is more polarized than ever. Let's look at those claims and think about them. Is there division? Yeah. Is there polarization? Yeah. Is it more than ever before? I don't think so. If we look back, we had a civil war that killed over 500,000 people. I would say it was more polarized and divided then, for sure. And if there are divisions, if there are polarizations, what exactly does that mean? In a properly functioning democracy, we need some conflict, some disagreement, some opposing views. So is division necessarily harmful? Is polarization necessarily harmful? It's all about how you do it. And let's cut to the punchline. I'll give you the example. 2016 presidential election year, Trump versus Hillary. Yeah, people were passionate for or against one side or the other. But what I saw, what happened, was people who were on opposite sides of that presidential election, some voting for Trump, some voting for Hillary, and yet what I saw was they worked together in the same workplace, they were friendly with each other, they lived in neighborhoods, they were next door neighbors to each other, they played golf together, they grilled steaks in the backyard, they got the families together for picnics. This is hardly the vision of people at each other's throats. These are people who have convictions, who have principles, who oppose each other, perhaps in a political sense, but who are able to maintain a friendly lifestyle and indeed not just friendly, but actually maintain friendships. Compare that to the media images. People marching in the streets, setting things on fire, throwing rocks, burning down buildings, destroying automobiles, all the rest of that. The visions of violent polarization seem to be oftentimes promoted by the media, and in fact the media creating those things in real life. It's media which creates the impetus to have a riot, to have looting, arson, vandalism, all the terrible things. So we can have people who are passionately devoted to Hillary on the one hand, or passionately devoted to Donald Trump on the other hand, and yet they're friends. Yet they get together and play cards, spend time together. That's possible, and that's the vision that can make a democracy work. Fast forward from 2016 to 2020, same deal. Biden supporters, Trump supporters, a hard-fought election, a passionate election, and yet many people had the ability to stand back from it when the time came to stand back from it, and to carry on working relationships, neighborhood relationships, free time, leisure relationships. So it's possible to be opposed to each other politically and yet to be friends, and yet to treat each other in a friendly way, and to legitimately enjoy each other's company, to decide voluntarily, this is the person I'd like to play golf with today. So the division in America, the polarization in America, yeah, it exists to some extent. It's hard to measure quantitatively. How do you measure polarization or division? It's not as bad as it has been at other points in American history. And it is in part created by the media, in part amplified by the media. People all want some of the same things, even when they're opposed politically, even when they vote differently. Everyone wants peace, prosperity, justice, and freedom, right? Those are universals. It may be that some people have a different understanding, a different definition of those words. It can be that some people are actually simply wrong about what those words mean, or maybe they're right about what the words mean, but they're wrong about how to get those things, how to attain those things, and that's where disagreement comes in. a necessary precondition for those things is being polite. Learning to treat people decently. A lack of politeness, a lack of human civility will endanger those very things that people want. Politeness is, in fact, a moral duty. It's not an option, it's not a matter of personal style, but there is an obligation to be polite. A failure to be polite by a sufficient number of people will, in fact, remove the very things that people seek. Governments can't force people to be polite. Regulations on speech, behavior, etc., will fail. There's no way to legislate politeness, which is why this phrase, a moral people, which occurs over and over again in various writings, primarily about the foundations of the United States, but also in other contexts, a moral people, an internal drive toward civility is going to be the thing which allows those people to retain or obtain liberty and justice. Forgiveness is important. To forgive people is the only way that a society can exist for a longer period of time, because eventually everyone will fail in some way. Everyone is imperfect. Everyone is flawed. And sooner or later, people mess up. And forgiveness is necessary to be shown to all people, and especially to those with whom you disagree. To keep a democratic society functioning, we have to be able to look at people with whom we passionately disagree, people with whom we have principled differences of opinion, and yet to look at those individuals and see the good in them, that you can enjoy their conversation, their personality, you can enjoy a game of cards. It requires the ability to see beyond the political conflicts and to look to higher things, because ultimately politics is not the most important thing. No political election is the greatest question in our lives. Again, the media lets us down here by constantly claiming how important the election is going to be, whatever the next election is. There's at least 5 things in your life that are way more important than politics. You think about it. What are they for you? It may be different for you than for me, but which of 2 candidates winds up in the White House, which party has control of Congress, in the long run is not the most important thing in life. And if you can see that there's 2, 3, 4 things more important than those political questions, it puts the political conflict into a perspective. It shows it to be less important than it wants to be. Political conflicts constantly are trying to expand themselves to overestimate their own importance. The conflict itself takes on a life, a personality, and it's a self-aggrandizing personality. Again, this is not helped by the media, which gets money for advertising and money for clicks on the internet. Try adopting this mindset. The next president, imagining which party controls Congress, which party gets your state's governor, which party controls your state's legislature. Imagine viewing those questions as not the most important, not the most urgent, not the most dramatic questions in your life. There's a ton of things more important. And when you view it that way, you begin to work toward a calmer, more rational approach to these questions, these divisions, these political debates that take care of our day-to-day running of government, running of the nuts and bolts of things. But in your personal life, what's more important? Family, friends, art, music, your spirituality, your faith. There can be a dozen things more important. And realizing that is a key to a lot better way of living.